Do you know when it's online?
I think it's now. I think you can start speaking.
Okay. So welcome everybody. I mean, people. Some people are in the Jitsi meeting, and welcome to people watching on YouTube also. So this is the session 6 of public open source software demo about the PrestaShop project. So today's agenda, we will start with the agenda. We will just remind the event rules. This is very important. So it's smooth and everybody can participate. We have a few announcements, as you can see. I will come back later on it. And today we have 3 demos, one about Multistore, one about DKIM for emails, and one about Symfony 4. And of course, we will have time at the end for a question and answer. The event rules. So please use the chat to ask questions so we can actually read them. And at the end of each demo, we will take the time to read all the questions to the speaker, and the speaker will take time to answer. This event is about the PrestaShop open source project. So the PrestaShop company and everything commercial is off topic for this session. This event is public and recorded. So please take care about what you share. If, for example, you share your screen, and of course, behave following the code of conduct, because this is what we ask people in order to have respectful and nice communication in the project. The code of conduct is available on the PrestaShop repository on GitHub. So, the announcements. The first one is about PrestaShop 1.7.8 beta. The big question is, did you test it already? We also have a release candidate currently in QA test, so it should be published soon if everything is going well. This is very important to test the beta with a shop or the data of a shop for many reasons. First of all, we must ensure that merchants, so end user, will not have issues. The second one is that if you sell modules or make custom developments on your shop, you must ensure before upgrading that everything's fine. If you do that after the final release, it will take some time for us to fix it. If you test it now and you tell us or you tell the maintainer that you have an issue, it is possible to fix it now. It's not too late. The second announcement is about version 1.7.7.5. So it's a patch version. It has been delivered on the 4th of June. And it fixes 19 regression reported on in comparison with previous 1.7.7 versions. Don't forget to update. The next announcement is about Typescript adoption in the PrestaShop project. So there is, if I guess well, an IDR on GitHub that has been written after a decision from the maintainers. It has been announced already, and TypeScript will bring strict typing for, for example, specifying a kind of number or variable. It comes with private methods and interfaces, generics, and many important things to improve the way JavaScript is actually handling information and data when end users use the software. And now it's time for the demonstration. So the first one is how to develop a module 100% Multistore compatible. So Marion and Mathieu will handle this demonstration. So I will stop to share my screen. No, it's not that. So now, yes, please, Marion or Mathieu, share your screen and do your demo.
Thank you, and hi everyone. So I'm going to share my screen right now.
Yes, we see your screen.
Great, thank you. So we are going to present you today with Mathieu how to develop a module fully compatible with the Milstar feature. And for this, Mathieu developed a module that you can use as an example if you want to develop a module compatible with the Milstar. So I'm going to show you the example module. So here you can see the new Multistore header introduced in 1.7.8. So first, here you can see there are already some blocks, but I'm going to add a new block in all shop context. So here you can see I'm here in all shop context, and you can find on this form a block called shop association, where you can select with which shop you want to associate the block, and by default all the shop corresponding to the context are already checked. So here I can see I want to add in all shop, title all shop, description block for all shops. I can enable it, save, and here you can see the block as I am in all shop context. Now I'm going to add a new block for the first shop. Call it Presta 178X, and the description awesome block in shop. And save. And then I'm going to add a new block for the second shop. So the first element, which is very important, is, as I said, the shop association block. It allows the user to choose with which shop he wants to associate the element. So if in your module you have some elements to add on the add new page, you should add this block. And Mathieu, I let you say something about
this form. Yes. Can we go back on the creation form?
Yes.
Okay, so while making this module, we tried as much as possible to respect the best practices we follow on PrestaShop. So the form is made in Symfony. The content block is a doctrine entity. It is linked to the doctrine shop entity. The key element here is the shop association block. It's a shop choice tree type. It's something you can easily add in a form to add a shop association block. It basically takes a list of shop IDs to pre-check the checkboxes in the block. When you're in Multistore, for those who are not familiar with it, the core concept is the concept of context. Everything that appears is dependent on the current shop context. As you can see in the blue bar at the top of the screen. So for this, we have a very useful adapter, which is the shop context adapter, which has a lot of helper methods to give you information about the current context, the current shops. For example, you have a method that gives you a list of shop IDs for the current context. So this is what we use in this situation. Of course, the block association is only displayed if Multistore is used. So for this, we have another adapter, which is the Multistore feature adapter. And that's it. All the things I'm talking about is described in the documentation. We added a new Multistore section in the PrestaShop dev core documentation. So I'm not going too much into detail. Everything is described in the documentation. That's it, Marion, for this form.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to explain you how here the listing works. So here the context selected is shop 2, and I can see only the block which are associated with this shop. It's the same thing if I display the other shop. I see only the block associated with the shop selected here. And if I select all shop, of course, I see here in the listing all the block associated with all my stores. I don't know, Mathieu, if you want to say something about the listing.
Yes, it's a basic PrestaShop listing. We are using the PrestaShop grid component. It's very well documented too. Basically, it takes there's two things you have to do. You have to define a grid definition factory, which will describe the grid, the different columns, the actions, etc. And then you have to make a doctrine query builder, which will define the queries to fetch the elements that you display in the list. And that's it. Basically, everything is in the documentation. This is not new. The only thing different here related to Multistore is that we have to take into account if the block is associated to the shop of the current context. And so if you switch context, the query will make a join on the shops associated to the content blocks. And this is how we get the only elements relevant to the current shop context. That's it, Marion.
Thank you. About the configuration here, I'm going to switch in a specific shop. So here, for example, I want to say I want for this shop display the blocks in a specific color. So let's say, for example, green. And I want to display all the block in italic. So I check this box and make the specific configuration for this store. I can save. And if I go on my shop in the front office, here I can see all the block associated with this store, and I can see it's specifically configured in green and italic. I can also apply, if I want, another specific configuration in another shop. So, for example, for shop 2, I can say I want to display the block in red and in bold. So if I save and I go to see the second shop, here you can see all the block associated with this shop, and the content is well displayed in red and bold. I can also, if I want, apply a configuration to all my stores. So if I go in all shop context, here I can select a color that will be applied to all my store, except the store for which I already configured a specific color or type here. So for example, if I click here, I can see that the color is already customized for the two shop. So if I change the color here in all shop context, it will not be applied to this shop. Here I can see the value has been customized for this shop. So if I change it, it will not be applied. But I can see it has not been changed for shop 2. So if here I, for example, say I want here in italic, it will be applied to the second shop. Mathieu, I don't want to see if you want to say a word about configuration.
Yes. A few words about this form. It's a new thing, something that is possible from PrestaShop 1.7.8. Basically, configuration forms can be made multi-store compatible. What I call multi-store compatible is having the checkbox and the drop-down on the right, giving us information about shops having overridden configurations. To make it easy for developers to implement this, we created a new form extension, which is called Multistore Configuration Type Extension. So basically, all you have to do is extend Multistore Configuration Type in your form type, in your Symfony form type, by using the getParent method. It will do all the hard work of displaying or not the checkbox, dealing with the state of the checkbox, depending on the values in the configuration table, displaying or not the drop-down on the right and the information in it. So yes, you in backend, you have to extend this new extension. And there is a new option for each field, which is called Multistore Configuration Key. So if you want your field to be multi-store compatible, you can use this new option and give it the configuration key. All the things I'm talking about right now are also described in the new multi-store documentation. So don't even try to remember everything I say. It's all in the documentation. I'm just describing it right now. So yes, that's it for the backend. And for the frontend, there is a new multi-store config field JavaScript component, which will do the work of making the fields gray when you uncheck the checkbox, and all the JavaScript part of those displays, basically. And to store the data in the configuration table, we have also a new class, which is the abstract multi-store configuration, which will basically do the work of dealing with the shop context and storing the data only for the current shop context, and the work of overriding configurations for each field. And that's it for this form, Marion.
Great. So if you want to make your module compatible with the Milstar, and if you have a form like this one, you should add the checkbox that are displayed only in a group context or in a specific shop context, and not in all shop context. And this dropdown that is displayed only in all shop context and in a group context. Then we have the enable disable action in the listing, and this action is applied only for all stores with which the element is associated, and not only for the store selected in the context. So, for example, if I am in all shop context, and if I disable here the display, it's applied for all the store with which the block is associated. So here, only for this shop. Mathieu, you want to say something about that?
Yes. Basically, this enable disable toggle is an Ajax query. All you have to do is to it happens in the grid definition factory. You can configure an action, and you have parameters to fill, like the root of your action in your Symfony controller. Basically, you just have to write the method in the backend and specify the root and the parameter in the grid definition factory. And then there's also, for the front end, for making the Ajax query, you have to use a PrestaShop Symfony component, which is called the async toggle colon extension. So if you call this this extension, everything will be done directly. You won't have to write the Ajax query yourself. That's it.
And the last thing is about the deletion from the listing. So if an element is associated with several shops, then if I delete it from the listing, it will be disassociated from the selected context and deleted only if it's no longer associated with any store. So here, I don't know if I have an element associated with all store.
Marion, I think that yes. Line 7, you have all shops blocked for all shops.
Yes. So here, if I delete it, you can see it has been deleted for all shops. Mathieu, will you want to say something about the deletion?
Yes. So here the deletion, well, it's a bit like the enable disable toggle. It's you have to specify a root and a parameter. So here, deleting a block actually means dissociating it from the current context. And like Marion said, if the content block doesn't belong to any context anymore, it is removed. To get information about the current context, as usual, I use the shop context adapter, which is a class you will use a lot if you work in Multistore in the backend, because it gives you all the information you need about the current shop context, and that's it. Nothing so complicated here.
Thank you, Mathieu. So it's all for us. If you want to develop a module, don't hesitate to take a look at the example module on GitHub, and we hope it will help you with the Multistore. Thank you.
Yes, and don't hesitate to read the documentation. I know I gave a lot of very technical. I gave you a lot of technical information, but maybe if you read the documentation, it will be more clear and make more sense. Thank you, everyone. If you have questions, don't hesitate.
Thanks, Marion. Thanks, Mathieu. I'll try to share again my screen. This one.
So far, we have no questions. Maybe we can wait a little to see if someone has one question, else we can move on to the next demo.
Yes. By the way, that was a nice live demo without the demo effect. Well done. So next demo, if we don't have any question.
Yeah, no question. Oh, even if someone has question, he can, and he thinks about it later, he can ask at the end of the of the session.
Don't forget, if you have questions, yes, to ask. Don't be shy, and we have a Q&A time at the end of the demos, so it's possible to come back if you have information. So next demonstration will be about introducing DKIM signing for emails. It will be presented by a regular contributor. So welcome, and so it's time that you share your screen inside of me and start your demonstration.
So, hi guys, my name is Daniel. I'm a regular PrestaShop contributor, and I will show you something about email signing. So let's share my screen, and I will launch my presentation. Can you see it?
Yes.
So
yes, we see your screen.
So we recently implemented this signing into PrestaShop because it has become almost a necessity to ensure that your emails are delivered properly. I'm going to divide it into 4 points. I'm going to tell you something why it's important to make sure that your emails are properly delivered, what DKIM is, why we need it in PrestaShop, and then I'm going to demonstrate how to set it up. So let's dive in. Importance of reliable delivery. If you don't have any other communication channel set up, email is basically your only way to communicate with the customers. The customers want to know what's going on, if you received the order properly, if you received the payment, if the package is on the way, and other important information. They like it, and they will mention it in their reviews if you do it properly. Also, side effect, you're going to have less calls to reply, less messages to reply, and less work with answering customers' questions. There's a slight catch with these automatic emails, because due to their amount, there's a lot of them, like usually maybe 5 for one order. Some mail servers can report it as spam and list you on some spam list or like blacklist, and you're in trouble. You can help it by configuring your server to sign these emails so they so they are like legitimate, and it will increase the chance that the server will not mark it as spam. The mail servers usually make a list of rules, and they score the email by several parameters, and DKIM signing and SPF checks passed, it makes the email much more legit. Here, DKIM, SPF, and DMARC mechanisms come to help us. It's 3 mechanisms that prevent. Basically, their basic functions is to prevent somebody spoofing your email address. Because if you are at least a bit technical, you know that, for example, when you send an email from PHP, you can say that the email is from whatever email address you want to. So you can basically send phishing emails, you can send spam, and the email owner wouldn't even know this, or know that something like this is going on. With these 3 mechanisms, you can prevent it and even know that somebody tried to do it. Now, what is it? DKIM mechanism. It's basically all you need to know is that it's signing the email headers with a specific key that gets compared with another key that you have set on your domain. How it works? Your email server sends a message. This message is signed with the private key. The email that is received, the server that's receiving the email will ask for a DNS record for another key, and the server compares the keys. If it matches, all is good. If it doesn't match, there's a problem, and somebody tried to spoof your identity. Then the actions that will be done will depend on what's DMARC mechanism is set to. I will explain later. Another thing that's tightly joined to DKIM is SPF. SPF is only one DNS record that includes all the servers that can send email by your name. It's that simple. You send an email which contains the server IP in the header. The server that the email is going to will ask for a DNS SPF record from your domain, and it will contain the list of servers that can send email by your name. The email where the mail came from, or the server where the mail came from, must contain this IP address. Otherwise, it's not legitimate. If the IP is on the list, all is good. If it's not on the list, somebody tried to send email by your name. Also, the server will check DMARC for what to do. Now, what is DMARC? It's a third mechanism tightly joined to DKIM and SPF. And basically what it does is that if somebody tries to spoof your emails and steal your identity, you can say what the server should do. Should it notify you? Should it put the mail to spam? Should it just reject the email completely? And you can also include an email address where you want reports sent. So if I want to spoof, for example, PrestaShop identity, you will get notified on this email address that somebody tried to send email by your name. This is the graphic explanation of what I said. I will leave it on for a few moments. And now, why we went and implemented it to PrestaShop. Wait a sec. So, mail servers usually sign every email coming through the SMTP protocol. You use this protocol by all email clients. Some of them can even sign emails coming from PHP functions, mail and send mail, but it's not very common. The servers can be configured to sign every email, but it's not very common on public hostings. You can set it up on your private server, but I have seen only one public hosting that was set up like that. So you can try to ask your server administrator if he's willing to set up email signing for every email that's coming from PHP, and you are done. But I think most of them will refuse or say that they can do it or it's not possible for whatever reasons. So then you need to do it yourselves and sign the email in your application. So that's why we implemented it in PrestaShop, so anybody can easily set it up. Due to PrestaShop using SwiftMailer library to send their email, the library already had the DKIM support. It's not very complicated code, but you have to do it manually and you have to be kind of technical. So we made a nice configuration interface where it's just 3 lines, you fill them, enable DKIM, and off you go, and you have signed emails. So now I'm going to demonstrate how to set DKIM up. I have also made a text version of the setup if anybody wants to read it afterwards, but I will show it on a real example. So first thing you're gonna need is you will go to this URL. You have a link at the PrestaShop administration. You can see here. Or you can ask your system administrator for these codes. Maybe he will already provide you with some generated keys. So your domain.com, you will put your shop domain here and click generate. It will give you your private key, and it will give you your public key and your selector. This is the 3 things you need to configure DKIM. So first thing we need to configure it on the DNS side. So we will make a new DNS record, which is going to be txt type, and the name of the record will be the selector with this suffix. We're going to put it there. We can put TTL like infinite, and we will put the DKIM key in here like this, and we are gonna put the key there, which is this one. I will just copy it and save it. And that's all you need to do on the DNS side, and you have your key there. Then you're gonna go to your PrestaShop settings. Since 1.79, there will be a new option. Sorry, this is in Czech, but this is advanced configuration emails. On the bottom, you will see a new fields since 1.79, where you can enter the DKIM configuration. So we will copy our private key. We will copy our selector. We will put our domain, and off we go. We save it. I won't save it. This is because this is a real store. You save it. Then we will send an email from this server. So I'm going to send some email and show you how you can see if it's working properly. If you open any message headers, you can do it in Outlook.com, for example, with right-clicking and view message source, or the similar function in Gmail. There must be the DKIM signature present, and there will also be authentication results present. So I'm going to check the email that just came from the store. So view message source, and you can see that authentication results is SPF pass, because the sender IP is included in my SPF record. DKIM was passed, and the DMARC was passed. And you can also see that here is the DKIM signature with a part of the key we just entered in the PrestaShop administration. So DKIM is working, and if the email is not on any spam list, you have a high chance of this delivering to inbox instead of the spam folders. If you wanna set it up, I made a nice graphical presentation here. Maybe we'll provide a link under the YouTube stream, and I will show you how to set up SPF record. So you can see, I will go back to my DNS settings. SPF and DMARC are only one line. So you can see we will make a TXT record with just a @ sign. We specify the SPF version, and we will include all the IPs and all the servers where the mail can come from. So, for example, if you make a new subdomain and you have a second store, we will include a new IP here, for example, 140. And now we can say that the email, if it comes from this IP, it's legitimate and it's completely fine. And the DKIM, the DMARC, sorry, it's just this simple DNS record. Version DMARC1. We want to quarantine the email, means put it to spam folder if it doesn't pass SPF or DKIM checks. And we want the report to be sent to postmaster at our domain. So we know that somebody tried to spoof our email identity. So here in the presentation, you have some useful tools. DKIM core, this is for generating the DKIM keys. And also a nice tool is MX Toolbox. If you go to this website, you have a sorry, I will just find a link here. MX Toolbox is a nice way to check that your SPF is set up correctly. For example, this is an SPF record checker. So we put our domain name, and we will put our server name in there or server IP, and it will tell us if the server will pass the SPF check. So the SPF has no problems, and we can see that the mail server is currently matched and it's in the IP range that the mail can come from. So I will stop sharing my screens and I will ask you if you have any questions. I hope I explained it properly and deeply, and anybody can set it up easily like this.
I think you did an amazing job. Thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you so much for being here, because as you mentioned, you are a contributor, so you use your own time and energy to do this. I don't see any questions from now. Maybe they will come later. Do you have one? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. If you could please share again your screen, slide number 15.
So, share screen.
Yes.
Do you see it?
Yes.
Number 15? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Right here, you mentioned that if SPF or DKIM fails, the server look for DMARC record.
Yes.
How it can be notified the server that the SPF or DKIM fail?
Because when you look at the DMARC record structure, you can specify that you want the reports to be sent by specifying the email. Imagine somebody tries to spoof identity of my customer here at the plis.cz domain, okay? But I have set up a DMARC record that I want to get notified to postmaster@plis.cz that somebody tries to spoof the identity. So that's why I will receive the report, for example, from Gmail, from Outlook, or from whatever server that supports DMARC, that some email came to that server and it was not exactly signed or it didn't align with the SPF record.
Okay, so if the SPF fails, the server check the record of SPF. If he didn't find the address IP is listing in the SPF record, it means that the SPF it fails. That's so?
Yeah, because the email came from a different server that's not in the allowed range. Like you don't have to remember this. If you Google, for example, SPF record generator, you can see there's a tool on MX Toolbox. Yeah, so you say your domain.com. Oh, this is DMARC record. Check. No. Let's try another one. Sorry. There are just a million tools on the internet where you can generate your records. So it will ask you to add all the servers, what you want to do. It will also generate the DMARC records and stuff like that. This is not working, sorry, but you will find something working. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to remember any syntax of these things. You can find it on the internet and just test your work using MX Toolbox or some kind of tool like that. Or even Gmail will show you a nice report of these checks passing or not.
I see.
I can confirm that, for example, with OVH, it's really easy to set up. There is a kind of assistant. You just provide the information and give you what you need. By the way, I have to say, Daniel, that I manage a small shop for a friend, and I'm eager to be able to apply this specification, this email confirmation, because yes, we have many people complaining that emails sent by the shop are going to spam currently.
Yeah. There's just too many emails, and you have to fight the spam assassins and plugins like that, like by whatever means you can. So if you sign it, it's very possible that it's going to land into inbox instead of spam folders. And having emails protected is a second thing, which should be a necessity.
So, thank you for this demo. Do we have other questions?
No, we don't. Maybe later. Maybe I just have one. Do you think, Daniel, that afterwards we can share your slides into the video comments so that if people, yeah,
I will send you the link for the presentation, or we can merge it to the demo presentation, so it's under the YouTube. If somebody wants an explanation, let's do it.
That's great. Thank you so much.
I think we can also add it to the PrestaShop documentation for even the merchants can set it up themselves, maybe, if we make a written version.
Yeah, that sounds a good idea.
Okay, so I will give word to next person. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes, so thank you, Daniel. Next demonstration is upgrade to Symfony 4. So I see that there are some slides afterwards. You want me to change them for you, or you want to open the presentation and share your screen?
Yeah, I can share my screen.
Okay, please do.
All right.
I give you the place.
I think you can
see your screen
now. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna present it. Do you see it in full screen?
It's loading currently.
Okay. Otherwise,
maybe you should. Could you please maybe shut down your webcam so you get more bandwidth for the presentation?
Is it better?
It's still loading currently. So we see actually the contour of your browser, but we don't see the content inside the browser.
Let's do.
And Thomas, if it's just slides, maybe Antoine could share them and you just comment.
Let's do this. Okay.
Okay, so just stop and I share again.
Yeah.
You just tell me when I need to change.
No problem. Okay, so I think you can change already. You can go to the next one. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the recent migration of Symfony 4. That will be, you went too far, sorry, yeah. So this will be more an announcement than a real demo, but this is an important thing, so here we go. Recently we migrated Symfony, we upgraded it from 3.4 to 4.4. I put a link just before, under the title with important changes. This is the link from of the PR that introduced this Symfony upgrade. If you go there, you will be able to see all that has been changed. But anyway, I highlighted the most important one on this slide. So the first one obviously is the upgrade of Symfony itself on 4.4 LTS, which is the latest long-term support, and the support of this version will end in November 2023, if I'm not mistaken. The biggest breaking change that this upgrade brings is that now the minimum version of PHP is 7.2.5, and it was 7.1 before. So this is the biggest breaking change. Also, as Symfony 4.4 aims to be compatible with PHP 8, and with PHP 8, the attribute class is now reserved. We had to change the attribute class of PrestaShop to product attributes. And we did the same for attribute core, which is now product attribute core. So that is the two main breaking changes brought by Symfony 4.4. Also, another noticeable change is that we upgraded Guzzle to the version 7, and it was version 5 before that. That this is what is already in the develop branch, what has been merged. If you go on the PR, you can see everything in detail. But there is more to come, and Antoine, you can go to the next slide, please. Okay. So there is more to come. There is a new PR that is right now in the review process, which aims to get rid of most of the deprecations brought by Symfony 4.4. Maybe you can open the link actually, Antoine, because I have some stuff to show. Yeah. Yeah, can you show the first line of the BC breaks, please? So yeah, as you can see, the short syntax, which use colon to get the path of a file, is not available anymore. So if you use it in your Twig templates or in your controller actions in your YML files, it won't work anymore. It will throw an exception. So instead of using colon, you should use the full path. For Twig templates, it's now you should use the bundle name, then the full file path. And for the controller actions, you have to use the full path too. And also you should use the full controller name and the full action name, because before you could use, for instance, if your controller was called error controller, you could just use error colon the name of the action without the action, like enable debug mode. Now you have to use error controller :: enable debug mode action. So if you don't do that, when this PR will be merged, that will throw an exception. Can you get back on the? Okay, now I can actually see it on my side. Can you go at the bottom of the BC breaks, please? Yeah. So as you can see, too, a big change that should not impact you that much, but is big enough to be noticed, is that now the template files and translation files has been moved from their directories to a new directory at the root of PrestaShop. So templates, Twig templates moved from SRC PrestaShop bundle resources views to a new folder called templates, and inside bundles PrestaShop bundle. And translation files moved from app resources translations to a root directory called translations. Actually, this directory was already existing, but contained files related to CLDR, and now it contains also all the translations files. So that's the main change that this PR will bring, but there is probably more to come during the development cycle of the develop branch. And that brings me to my last slide. So Antoine, yes. So this is the first step to make the PrestaShop PrestaShop compatible with PHP 8. And it's actually working. So you have a Symfony 4 in the develop branch, and I really encourage you to try it out, because we need your feedback. If you want to make your shop or extensions compatible with PHP 8, it won't be that complicated once you get it compatible with Symfony 4. So if you can try it very soon, very early during the development process, it will help everyone, because if you make your module compatible with Symfony 4, you won't have that much to do to make it compatible with PHP 8. So that's a good thing. And yes, that's pretty much it for me. If you have questions.
Okay, thank you. I have one question, because most often developers forget that it's not easy for everyone, or I mean, not everybody knows, but how people can test that, because you ask people to test early. What should they do? What can they do if they want to test that with with their developments?
Mostly it's for developers, and what they should do is check out the develop branch and see if their modules is working and their shop. It's a global upgrade, so it's hard to say to try a part in particular. But yeah, they should see if their module is working as expected, if their theme is working as expected, and everything. Yeah, there is not a part to be focused on.
Okay. Should people build from the source, or may they use some nightly builds or something?
It doesn't matter. One or the other is good.
Okay, so it's possible to find builds. Cool.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Mathieu, do you see questions on YouTube?
And no, still no questions so far.
Okay, so it's
one question.
Yes.
About the templates that were moved in different folders. Does it mean if you want to override those templates from the module, do you have to change their place as well, or it should move the same way?
It will work exactly the same way. It's just a matter of a default folder, if I can say.
Okay, great.
Same for translations. It's exactly the same. It's just the default folder that changed.
All right.
That's it.
Good.
Any other question? I mean, on this demo? Okay, well, so now it's time, I guess, Mathieu, for regular question and answers. So if people have questions about the PrestaShop open source project, feel free to ask. So in the chat, we will wait sometimes to see if someone write a question on YouTube also. And if people are in GT and have questions also, please feel free to answer. Not that for once I'm here, and if you have questions about, I mean, not non-technical or not product management, but more about open source or the direction of the project, this kind of thing, I can also take the time to answer if you want.
Yes, and also, I guess we can also welcome some feedback about this session, because now we have been doing this since January. How we good on how we present things. If there are some topics you would like to see covered, should we improve some parts of this demo process? We also looking for that kind of feedback.
So there's no question in the GT session.
And nothing on YouTube. Maybe it's not a good day for questions.
Not
Do you
just
know
not
how
good day for
many
question,
time,
but everything seems clear. That's why.
Yeah.
The 3 demo was super clear.
Mathieu, do you know how much time there is between when we speak and when people actually can listen on YouTube? Maybe there's a kind of delay, something?
A few seconds, I would say, like 2 to 5.
Okay.
So it's really quick. So now people should be able to ask. Oh, I guess there's no question for today.
Okay. So thank you very much, everybody who attended this PrestaShop open source meeting. And have a nice day, everybody. See you in the next one. And if you have, I mean, topics ID, or you want to request a demo on something, don't forget that you can join us on the Slack of the open source project. And so you will be able to meet people that were here and ask also questions. So see you next time.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone.
Mathieu, I'll let you shut down YouTube.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
And that's it. It's